So I want to start with, it wasn't really this week. It was Sunday, I think, Saturday or Sunday. We had a team out doing sparkle cleans in Canterbury, which is a long way from us. It's about a 2 hour drive. There was a lot of sparkle cleans we needed to do. So we had a big team going out to do those sparkle cleans. Um, but they turned up and the lock boxes hadn't been put on the walls. We had the key safe number, we had all the plot numbers, we had everything. But unfortunately, the key safes hadn't been put on. So the learnings from here, maybe not do builders cleans on a, well, they weren't builders cleans actually, sorry, they're sparkle cleans. Maybe not do builders cleans or sparkle cleans on a weekend when offices aren't open. And maybe make sure those things are in place. But we use fixed flow. There's loads of information that comes through. So to be honest, there was no reason to think that the key safes weren't put on the walls, and that's never happened to us before. But hey ho, that was where we were at. We had, I don't know how many staff we had down there, probably 4 or 5 staff down there. It was a long visit, so we wanted to make sure we could get as many done as possible in that visit. So we run the risk of not doing the work and having to go back. As I've mentioned before, we always have aborted call fees, so it covers us, but it's still not good for staff morale and that sort of thing. If you get to a job and nothing gets to happen, it doesn't look good. But luckily, there was a site agent there, and he was the most amazing site agent on the planet. I don't know his name because I wasn't there, but he really went above and beyond because he just got the keys out and tried to work out which keys went with which property. And we got in and got all the properties done. So a few learnings there. Maybe try not to do that work at a weekend. However, it's super, super hard for us at the moment because we've gone crazy busy. I'm going to put an advert out for more recruitment now. We have an advert out all the time on, oh, what's it called? Indeed. But I need to renew it because once it's been there a little while, it dies off a death. So I need to put more adverts out so we don't have to do this Sunday work. So that's the lock boxes and the sparkle clean. So if you've ever had an experience like that, let me know. Pop it in the chat, pop a post up later. And the next one is this amazing new book. Some of you have seen it. Some of you in my hoarding group have seen it. Sorry, the mirror's not screened, but it's by Jo Cook. She's written Overcoming Hoarding, I think. And this one's called Overcoming Chronic Disorganization. It's similar, but I love the detail in this book. So Jo talks, it's only come out, I think last week it was released. And Jo talks about things like people who are living in chronic disorganization lives, that type of life, very, very close to hoarding. And sometimes the mix is this, it just gets jumbled up and you don't know if it's chronic disorganization or hoarding. They're part and parcel. But she talks about how people are in survival mode all the time. And those guys are you on my course, you know that I talk about that. People living in chronic disorganized homes, struggling with chronic disorganization, hoarded homes. They're in survival mode. Hence, they can't get anything done because at best they can just get through the day being. They can't do the decluttering that their council are telling them to do. It's not possible. In survival mode, the most we can do is eat and drink and find a way through the day. It's not possible to look after ourselves in the right way or the way that you and I seem fit. It's not possible to take on board those goals and those rules and regulations that people are putting in place. And Jo talks about that in this book. I've only read 2 chapters, so I can't tell you all about the book yet, but they're the first 2 chapters. Something else she brings into the mix that's really, really super important is, you know, a lot of chronic disorganization stems back, as hoarding does, to trauma from childhood. And there is evidence that this trauma from childhood suppresses the brain, doesn't grow in the right areas, the right skills aren't networked in our brain. And because of that, we have suppressed executive function, which means we can't make the same thought patterns as other people. We can't come to the same conclusion. We can't actively do the same things in the same ways with people who have got normal executive function. So that's a really important part of the book and really, really interesting. Another thing that I talk about as well, often people live in a chronically disorganized life or in a hoarded home. If items are put away behind a cupboard door, in a box, then people who are suffering with chronic disorganization or hoarding, and suffering is probably the wrong word, um, they don't know they're there anymore. If they're not in sight, their brain no longer knows they exist. Hence, things being left out all over the place because people know things exist. And I've read research on this from with people that have ADHD. And I've advised many homeless housing associations to, instead of have drawer systems and wardrobes with closed doors, to have the wardrobe systems with just a hanger so they can see from outside the wardrobe what's there. Instead of drawers, have cube systems up that have no front on them so people can see what they've put in their cube system. Because keeping things in sight can really help. And of course, if it's not in sight and you're living in a chronic disorganized home or a hoarded home, what happens is you can't find that calculator, you can't find that rolling pin, so they go and buy another one. And that's how the hoarding develops. And it's mentioned, I love the fact that this is mentioned in Joe's book. So if you're interested, go and buy it. And Joe's such a lovely person as well. So a couple more things. Boundaries with staff. We had to make sure our boundaries with staff were in place this week. Just on a side note, so you know where we're coming from, we have around about 20 staff, all pretty much part-time staff. And they're a lovely, amazing team. We also use a scheduling app called Jobber. And on that scheduling app, they clock in and clock out. And to clock in and clock out, we need to have the GPS on so we know that they clocked in at the right spot. And that's not just to check in and make sure they're doing the right thing, it's also to help with safety. If someone's not clocking out, it flags up that there's something wrong. So we will contact them, particularly if they're a lone worker. We don't have many lone workers, but we do have lone workers. So they clock in and clock out, and they have GPS enabled on their phone so we can see where they clocked in and where they clocked out. We know they were safe. And also we will know they're at the right place. So we've had a few people not clocking in and clocking out at the right time. And to be honest, we've sort of let it slide. They'll message me and say, Donna, I forgot to clock out. I'm like, I guessed you weren't on the shift for 24 hours, but try and remember next time. But we've sort of let it slide a little bit. And then we've noticed that the GPS isn't on for some people as well. And that slid a bit. But last week we had a client contact us to say they didn't think that the work was done to the standard that we usually do. So we had a look. They said they didn't think we were there the whole time. So I thought, that's fine. I'll check the clock in and clock out. I'll check the GPS because I'll know. And of course, two staff and none of them had their GPS on. So I couldn't verify that they were there the time they were meant to be there. So we talked with the staff and we've just put this thing, we just had to put the boundaries in place a bit firmer. Like, you need your GPS on. We've explained why. If you've got a problem, come and talk to me or Dan. Otherwise, going forward, it's going to be a verbal warning. We're going to do it because it's just getting silly that people aren't clocking in and clocking out at the right time. So we've made them aware we're going to do this. It's in our handbook anyway. It's not keeping to standards by doing that. And that will happen. But surprisingly, the admin team have been checking the GPS daily, and everyone's GPS is now on, and everyone this week has clocked in and clocked out. And we know that that will be the case for a couple of weeks. So the admin team are going to check every day for a couple of weeks. And then they're going to dip in and out again a couple of times a week and see whether any reminders need to be made. But the reminders won't be just reminders now. It will be a verbal warning. And that's the way we will go with that to ensure our boundaries are in place. We're a super company to work for, but they need to stick to their part of the bargain. So boundaries with staff, guys, always keep them there. And I know a lot of you have seen this week in the group, I talked about aborted call visits. So I just wanted to explain what that is a bit more. So if we go to a big job, and I'm not talking about our domestic cleans, that's a different type of work. If we go to a big job and turn up and we can't start, for most of those jobs, we have what we call an aborted call fee visit. Different for each job, depending on the size of the job, depending on the staff. So we discuss this with our contractors before we start. This was a builder's clean. It is a builder's clean. We turned up. Well, no, before we discussed it, they said, you know, the site is opening on Monday. Whatever happens, it has to open on Monday. We said, fine, 26, Wednesday, as long as you guys are all clear and we can get on, then by Sunday, we will be finished. We thought we probably would have been finished Friday, maybe Saturday at the latest. So all good to go. Turned up Wednesday, and I shared a photo in the group. The place was still swarming with tradesmen everywhere, still first fixing, still doing the electrics, all those sort of things. So it wasn't close. It was suggested maybe we could do the windows, but we declined kindly. Luckily, Den's worked in these situations when he's had his decorating and building company, so he knew how to liaise with people, spoke to the site agent. The site agent was a bit passive aggressive, saying we just had to do the windows and get on with it. And basically we said we didn't need to do the windows to get on with it. We're leaving, we're putting in our invoice, and if we turn up tomorrow and it's exactly the same, we won't come back again. This is what we want. We want this area clear so we can start tomorrow. Come away, whack the invoice in, and we have like agreement with them that they will pay that. They haven't questioned it yet. And luckily, when we went back yesterday, everything was ready. It's given us less space to get this job completed in because they still want it done by Sunday to hand over for Monday opening up. But watch this space. I will let you know how it goes. We've got teams there all weekend. So hopefully it will get done. It's a nice size job, like it's a £4,000 job. So I want to get it done and dusted before the end of the month and invoiced Sunday, if I can. So yeah, aborted call fees. But you can only charge these fees if you make your clients aware beforehand and you have it, your paperwork and your contract, but don't just put it in the paperwork and contract. Have a conversation with them. It's not a scary conversation. It's life. If they don't make sure things are ready for us to come and do our work, then we can't, and there will be a charge to this. And that shows more respect towards the cleaning industry, because indeed, when we did turn up yesterday, there was so much support for us. Not a single person had the that we'd refused to go the day before. They'd made sure they'd got everything ready for us to dive in and get on. So I can always help you with that. If you need help with it, give me a shout. I think in the membership, some people asked for some templates. So I've added contracts in the Take Action Club for, I think I'll put my domestic ones and my commercial ones in there, but in the Take Action Club, as everyone knows in there, if I can do something, I will do it, and I will add it if I need to, if it's not already there. So shout if you need help with that, or just join the club, which will be closing this weekend. So get in quick if you want to get in. Just a quick plug there, aborted fees. And this one is the last thing. But if you watch this live or if you watch it on catch up, I want you to put a comment in the comments below. It's the end of the month on Sunday. We are in July next week. Do you have a plan? And a plan, I mean, how much revenue or targets do you have? So it might be how much financial revenue. We always have financial targets as well as other targets. Do you have targets for July? If not, why not? Create them right now today. So how much, I've got a question for you. How much do you want your company to turn over? That's a really important word, turnover. Not how much you personally want to earn. How much do you want your company to turn over in the month of July? Then pop your numbers in the box. Pop your numbers in there. How much? Now, you might not know this answer off the top of your head. You might need to go away and work this out. You should know this also. It should be written down somewhere. I know how much reoccurring revenue I have coming in. How much have you already got booked in? So if you want to earn, I don't know, let's go with 5K. For me, it will be around 50. We had 50 this month. It was our biggest month ever, but I want to keep it at 50 because that's a big month for us. If you want 5K in July, how much reoccurring revenue have you already got booked in? Because if you've got 4.5, you're nearly there. You'll probably smash 5 and you'll probably get to 6. If you've got 1K booked in, you've got work to do. So go away, work out how much you need to fill. So if you've still got a couple of K to fill, are there spaces to fill it? Is it realistic? Yes, if it's realistic, find a way. Do you need more staff to get to that point? If you do start recruiting right now, today, this minute, ask your staff if they know anyone. Pop ads on Indeed, pop ads on Facebook, talk on the school gates, tell all your friends, tell everyone you are recruiting. So do you need to recruit to get to that target? Is there space to get to that target in your diary? How much more is the gap? So say it's £1,000. How many hours do you need to fill? Let me work out on my calculator. So say you need to get another £1,000 to reach your 5K for July. We charge £23 an hour for domestic, so let's just go at £23 an hour. You need another 43 hours cleaning, so that might be domestic, might be commercial. If you're only doing biohazard and you want another 1,000, we charge 60 minimum an hour. You need 16 hours for the month. So work out how much more you need to earn for the month, how much you need to fill up if it's £1,000. Work out how many hours you need to fill and what type of work you're going to fill it with. Is it going to be domestic? Is it going to be commercial? What are your rates? Break it down to hours. So you saw that it was 16 hours for bio. You can do that in 1 or 2 bio jobs. So if you're searching for bio, get on LinkedIn, come and join the Take Action Club, because I will train you in everything you need to know on LinkedIn, even the little secret things that no one knows about. Like how to data scrape off LinkedIn, all those sort of things, how to view people's profiles without anyone else knowing. I can show you all that stuff. But yeah, if you want bio, if you want commercial, jump on LinkedIn. You've got those 16 hours to fill for your bio. If you're earning, say, £23 an hour for your commercial or domestic, I can't remember how many hours that was. It was 40 something. So you need to fill 40 hours. What size jobs are they going to be? You need to then be selling to those people. So that might be chasing up old quotes. Well, it will be chasing up old quotes. And that might be from a year ago. Chase them up, contact them, put an email campaign out, go networking, go and knock on the doors of estate agents. Every time you're in a shop, ask them about their cleaning. When you go to the garage and you're in a queue, talk to someone and tell them what you do for a job. Make it your mission to let the world know who you are, so you can fill that £1,000 very quickly. Consider upselling to your current clients so you can fill it. Add more hours to their clean. If you do additional services, add that. So then you can reach your target. Don't just sit there and wait for your target to come and hit you on the lap, because it won't happen. You need to have an action plan to make it happen. And you can only have an action plan if you know what you want. Because once you know what you want, the financial hours, the finances we'll talk about here, then you can work backwards and work out how you can get it. If you need any help with that, pop me a message. I am around all weekend and all today. But let's make July special. Let's make it so that you all reach your goals. And actually, if you write your goals down in the group, you're more likely to work towards them. And I'm more than happily to hold you. I will more than happily hold you accountable to these and contact you to see where you've got with them. And help you come up with a plan. The plan is really easy. It's just reverse engineer your numbers. And if you're not sure what that means, it just means work backwards to find your way through. Right. I am going to jump off now. I will see you next Friday.